Hi, I'm Jonathan Friz, and I'm here with my friend, Gregg Healey. And Gregg, God is doing something amazing in the great state of Connecticut. And you're part of Impact Connecticut, part of the team there. Can you just share a little bit with me what's been going on in your state?
Yeah, absolutely. Impact Connecticut has been a recent phenomenon of the state, people across the state coming together for God's purpose, His glory, His plan for the days that we're living in. And it's amazing to see a state scattered in so many ways and broken in so many ways and economically challenged in so many ways on a God level, a spiritual level, coming together, perhaps not since the Great Awakenings went through the state.
So what is Impact Connecticut? Just describe what that is.
Impact Connecticut is a group of people united for Jesus' purpose and glory across the state. It's across denominational lines, ministries and churches, other aspects of culture and its impact. And what we want to do is we want to see change for the good and people helped in the state of Connecticut. And we believe that God's plan for that is a John 17 vision of unity where His people come together to not only worship God, but to help their fellow men.
So tell me about the journey over the last few years. What's been happening? God's been doing some cool things, been bringing some revival, renewal.
Absolutely.
What's happened over the last several years?
Yes, over the last several years, probably starting with, I remember a meeting in 2007 where leaders gathered in a central location near Hartford to talk about what is God up to and what would revival look like in our state and how could we work together and what should we be doing together. And from that, out of that heart, has really come a desire to relate to one another and get to know each other personally, and also to seek God in corporate worship together. So we've seen a lot of these corporate worship events, and one of the big sets of gatherings we had was in 2012, where we had a prophetic leader come to the state and really declare some things over Connecticut that was God declaring things. Mm-hmm. And out of that was birthed this 7-month window and season of meeting once a month, everybody from across the state gathering to worship God together and pray together and get to know each other together every month for 7 months straight.
So the 7 nights of worship. So then what happened? Tell me about what happened in
2013.
Yeah.
We called it 7 Now.
7 Now.
And it was a now word because of what God was doing in that seminal year of 2012.
Wow. Okay. And then last year, there was the 40 days.
Yeah, so last year.
How did that get launched?
That got launched on the back of the 7 Now. So after we experienced that 7-month season, God called us to a consecrated time of 40 days to do it every night. So not just once a month, but every night for this season, this prolonged season of 40 days. And that we integrated that for the first time with the heart of 10 days, which is very much a similar vision and an overlapping heart for what God's doing. And so 40 days and 10 days were merged last year, and that's how we now come into our second year of having 10 days together across the state.
Right. I know I came to a follow-up meeting to the 40 days, and I walked in the room, and it was like I was seeing something that I had been looking for a while, I hadn't seen before.
And what was that?
And it was, well, first of all, there were just 150 pastors in there, and they were just singing their hearts out. There was just a spirit of, I would just say, the thing that hit me was like, oh, this is revival. There's
a spirit of
revival. But I felt like there was something else, and I just, Lord, what is this? And what I realized is there was really not just revival, but alignment. Yeah. That people were not just experiencing God together, the moving of the Spirit together, but were aligned and of a like heart and mind and ready to move together. And that was amazing. I just remember one particular conversation with a pastor of a small denominational church in Connecticut, and he was just saying, it is an amazing time to be serving God in Connecticut. Now that's like contrary to every stereotype about New England ministry that there is. And so I was just amazed by what happened last year. And then this year, the 10 days, and just share a little bit about that and what's going on.
Yeah, and I think, well, what we saw come out of it and why Impact Connecticut's called Impact Connecticut is we're not gathering only to pray, which we can all agree to, but we're gathering to do more. And the more is, how do we impact people? How do we help people? How do we impact culture? How do we see our state transformed?
Right.
And so that's what our 10 days and what Impact Connecticut is focused on this year, is to deepen that walk. Like, where do we go from here? We are not just going to come together and gather and pray. We're also going to be transformed through that to do things in alignment with the will of God and do things together. And that could be serving the community. That can express itself in a number of ways. But this willingness to go beyond just gathering for gathering's sake.
Well, I'm excited to see what happens this fall through the 10 days in Connecticut and the United Night of Worship on October 4th in Connecticut as well.
Yeah, could I share one more thing?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so the end of the 40 days last year, when we were talking about a spirit of revival, I remember distinctly going into our last gathering together. It was the 40th one, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I was going up to Massachusetts on my way, maybe to the Pioneer Valley where you live. And so in that last gathering, what was amazing to me is I was hit by the presence of God walking into this chorus of people worshiping. And I distinctly remember having that sense that surely the spirit of revival is here, and we're seeing it manifest in this meeting. Like just hundreds of people, I forget how many hundreds were at that particular meeting.
Wow.
But it was like it was almost like a auditorium full of people worshiping God, and it was almost like a publican gathering of people who desired to see what's next with God. This being a wrap-up meeting. And it was just amazing. It was really, it was tangible. You ran into it. Like, that's how I felt when I walked through the doors.
Gregg, thanks so much for what you shared today. And I hope that this will help inspire those watching just to get involved this fall, whether they live in Connecticut or not. God's doing an amazing thing in the body of Christ in these days.